Hi everyone. In this video, you're going to learn about general form for circles. So let's get started. You previously learned the standard form of circles, which was x minus h quantity squared plus y minus k quantity squared equals r squared. You learned that hk is the center and that r represents the radius, and that this is a very simple way to think about how the equation relates to the actual graph of the circle. All right? But what if not everything is so simple? What if you're given an equation that looks like this? X squared plus y squared plus 8x minus 18y plus 93 equals 0. Now, this is still a circle. It's just simply not in, your individual components are not in factored form, right? Looks a little bit different. Still a circle, though. Check it out. It appears to be a circle that has a center at -4, +9, and has a radius of 2. So how is it that the equation looks so complicated? Well, let's go through the steps. All right. You can actually take this equation, which is known to be in general form, you can actually put it back into standard form. So here's a few of the steps to follow. Start by grouping your terms. All right. So instead of writing x squared plus, instead of having the x squared beside of the y squared, we're going to say x squared plus 8x plus y squared minus 18y, and we're going to move that number to the right side because we like to have the number representing the radius on the right side. So I group my variables together. The next thing that I'm going to do is really the biggest and most tough item to work with, and that is called completing the square. All right, you're going to take each of these individual quadratics and you're going to write them as perfect square trinomials. All right, here's what a perfect square trinomial is. All right. In short, we're basically talking about, for a perfect square trinomial, in short, we're basically going to do this. X squared plus 8x, and we're going to add a third number, all right, to make it a trinomial, like we're used to seeing quadratics. We're going to do the same with y squared minus 18y, and we're going to add another number, all right, and we're going to set that equal to -93 plus both of those numbers, all right? Because what I add or subtract to one side, I need to add or subtract to the other side. So the question is, what are those numbers, all right? Well, after years and years of doing this, I can tell you that the first number that completes the square is 16, and the second number is going to be 81. But how do I get that? Well, there's a simple formula, and that formula is b over 2 squared, all right? B over 2 squared. In other words, cut your b term in half. For example, 8, which gives you 8 divided by 2, which gives you 4, and then square that. So 4 squared equals 16, all right? For my y term, so I add 16 right there, and I also add it to the right side. For my y term, again, b over 2 squared, so my b value is -18. I cut it in half, so I get -9. Then I square it, and squaring -9 gives me 81. So I'm going to end up adding 81 to the y, as well as adding it to the right side. All right. What you've really done with this is you've made it to where that quadratic, which was really incomplete, right? If I think of that first quadratic, it was x squared, right, plus 8x, and it didn't have a c term, right? But I made it to where I'm going to be able to factor that quadratic with equivalent factors. So I do that by splitting the 8x in half, which gives me a 4x right here, a 4x right here, which means this would have to be a +4. This would have to be a +4, making this a +16. So now hopefully you see where that +16 comes from. All right. Now, the only thing that remains is I need to actually factor. All right. And so you can see my steps over here on the left side. Let's address it this way. You can notice my steps over here on the left side where I have started to factor. All right. So this is a little more clean. So here's where I added my 16s to both sides and my 81 to both sides. And then I factored. So x squared plus 8x plus 16 factors into x plus 4 quantity squared. Y squared minus 18 plus 81 will now factor nicely into y minus 9 times y minus 9, which is y minus 9 quantity squared. And when I add up all my numbers, I get 4. So now it's in standard form. The toughest part is completing the square, but you can do it. B divided by 2 squared.